world has been bit by a spate of epidemics that were woven in dark womb swine. Flu, SARS, Ebola, and others, because of which the world economy was affected at that time, and the target was to create economic crisis. Whereas in 2020, the virus corona has a devastating task and dangerous scenario. Corona, the terrifying scenario. A novel appeared in the 1980s in the United States called The Eyes of the Darkness. It predicted that coronavirus would hit Wuhan in China in 2020. In another forecast in the American cartoon series The Simpsons, a package comes from China carrying the virus corona, and it's spread in America. Indeed, this proves that all of the events that are taking place now had been planned for years. At the beginning of this year, the coronavirus suddenly hit the city of Wuhan in China, and then it spread in some other countries. And the world media blamed Chinese tourists for it. This provoked incendiary campaigns against them, describing them as infested people. Shortly afterwards, the virus spread in the United States in a suspicious way. It is surprising that the US president declared a state of emergency in the United States, exaggerating the situation to this extent and describing the virus as a human disaster. And the spread of the virus in China was accompanied by huge media campaigns that described the virus as a pandemic that threatens humanity. These media campaigns were systematic and escalating. The first step in escalation was held by the World Health Organization that declared a global pandemic. Although the deaths were only 2% of the patients, and the number of those affected individuals was very low for the world's population. Nevertheless, 2 days later, it was declared a global pandemic. Then there was news about famous characters that have acquired the virus, including Tom Hanks, top football players, Brazil president, and so on. Matches were cancelled, and others were set up in empty stands. After that, countries closed their borders, and their schools were closed too. The discovery of the conspiracy. Chinese laboratories showed that the virus did not spread in nature, but that it was designed in laboratories. The Chinese government had doubts that America was behind this biological attack, but did not have the evidence until they had access to leaked information. The Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, through its spokesman on 13 March 2020, openly accused the United States of being the one who carried out the biological attack. The next day, the US president personally responded to the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs and accused China of being the source of the virus that leaked to the United States. It was a clear exchange of accusations between America and China. China and the US at the gates of the World War III. The US biological attack and the leakage of evidence to China that the US Army was behind it was a pre-planned matter to drag China into war. The reason is that US financial institutions' reports showed that Chinese 2030 economy would be as twice larger than the economy of the US, and that it could create a new global financial and banking system instead of the current one. China would then impose its currency on the world instead the US dollar, because it's going to be the world's largest economy, and it would allow it to lead the world alone. The United States would never accept that, making confrontation inevitable. US strategic experts believe that this war will eventually force China to sit down with the United States to share influence over the world, so that China does not govern the world alone. War declaration. Mutual accusations will escalate, and this biological attack may be followed by a larger attack that would pave the way for declaring war. It will be President Trump who will win the next election to complete this dangerous mission and to accomplish this terrifying scenario? How many millions of lives and homeless will pay for that? Perhaps it doesn't matter.
إن أعجبك الفيديو لا تنسى الإعجاب والاشتراك في القناة. جميع الحقوق محفوظة لدى القناة.